I never thought my own sister could do something so cruel. She convinced my fiancé to leave me, right before our wedding. I was heartbroken, but I didn't show it. On their wedding day, I walked in with the truth, proof they never expected me to have. The whole room went silent. Her face turned pale. My name is Emily Parker, and I live in Chicago, Illinois. Life had always been good for me. I had a steady job as a graphic designer, and Jake, my fiancé, was a software engineer at a tech startup. We were young, in love, and planning a future together. Jake and I met at a friend's birthday party 2 years ago. I still remember the way he smiled at me across the room. From the moment we started talking, I felt a connection I had never felt before. He was kind, funny, and smart. Everything I ever wanted. Our relationship grew fast. We spent weekends exploring the city, trying new foods, and dreaming about our life ahead. Jake proposed on a snowy day in December, kneeling down in front of Millennium Park with the city skyline behind him. It was perfect. We started planning a small wedding for the summer, inviting close family and friends. I was excited and nervous. Everything seemed to be falling into place. But there was one dark cloud looming over my happiness: my older sister, Melissa. Melissa and I had always been competitive growing up, but I never imagined she could betray me like this. She worked as a real estate agent and was always chasing bigger sales and clients. Maybe she was jealous of my relationship with Jake. Or maybe she just didn't want to see me happy. At first, Melissa acted supportive. She congratulated me on the engagement and asked to help with wedding planning. I wanted to believe her. I thought maybe she had changed. But then strange things started happening. One day, I noticed Melissa was texting Jake a lot. I didn't think much of it at first. They were family after all. But soon the messages grew secretive. They would text late at night, and Jake would hide his phone when I walked into the room. Jake started acting distant. He stopped making plans with me and seemed distracted. I asked him what was wrong, but he always said, "It's just work stress. Nothing to worry about." Deep down, I felt something was wrong. I tried talking to Melissa too, but she avoided my questions and gave me vague answers. One day, I overheard her on the phone, whispering to someone about getting rid of Emily. My heart sank. The worst moment came when Jake told me he wanted a break. It was a painful conversation. He said he wasn't happy and needed space. I begged him to tell me why, but he stayed silent. I felt shattered. I spent nights crying alone, wondering how the man I loved could leave me. But I was determined to find the truth. I started checking Jake's phone when he wasn't around. I found messages from Melissa telling him lies about me, that I was selfish, controlling, and didn't care about his dreams. Melissa was poisoning his mind. One night I found proof that crushed me. Photos of Melissa and Jake together. Not just as friends, but more. Secret meetings, late-night texts, and whispered promises. My sister and fiancé were planning to be together behind my back. The betrayal was unbearable. I felt lost and angry, but I knew I had to fight back. I collected all the evidence, messages, photos, and videos. I saved everything on my phone and computer. I told myself I would expose them. I would not let them destroy my life. The wedding day arrived. I was nervous but ready. The small chapel downtown was decorated with white flowers and soft lights. Friends and family gathered, smiling and chatting. Jake and Melissa stood at the altar, both radiant and happy. I sat quietly at the back, clutching my phone, ready to reveal the truth. As they exchanged vows, I stood up and walked toward the altar. I showed everyone the messages and photos. The room went silent. Melissa's face turned pale. Jake looked shocked. Their secret was out. I had my revenge. But this was only the beginning. The room was deathly silent. Everyone stared at the screen in my hands, the messages, the photos, the proof I had collected. Jake's eyes were wide with shock. Melissa's face had lost all color. I could feel all the years of pain, betrayal, and heartbreak rushing through me. This was the moment I had waited for. The moment they couldn't hide anymore. Why? I asked, my voice trembling but loud enough for everyone to hear. Why did you do this to me? How could my own sister and the man I loved betray me like this? Melissa tried to speak, but no words came out. Jake looked down, unable to meet my gaze. My family was in shock. Some relatives whispered, others looked angry. My parents' faces were pale, I had no idea what they were thinking. After the ceremony was stopped, I left the chapel before anyone could say anything else. I needed time to think. The days after the wedding disaster were the hardest I had ever faced. Jake and Melissa disappeared from my life, but their betrayal lingered like a dark cloud. I stayed at my apartment in Chicago, feeling alone but determined to move forward. I started focusing on myself, going to work, spending time with friends, and even trying new hobbies. Slowly I began to heal, but the pain of betrayal was still there. One evening my phone rang. It was my mom. "Emily," she said softly, "your father and I want to talk to you." I was nervous but agreed to meet them at our family home. When I arrived, the atmosphere was tense. My parents sat me down and explained what they knew. Apparently Melissa had been hiding things from them too. She had told lies to both me and our parents to cover up her actions. My father looked at me with regret. "We never expected this from your sister," he said. That conversation made me realize how deep the betrayal went. It wasn't just about Jake or the wedding. It was about trust, family, and the lies that had built up over years. I decided I needed closure. Not just for me but for everyone involved. I contacted a family therapist and suggested that Melissa and I attend sessions together. First Melissa refused, but after weeks of pressure from our parents she agreed. The therapy sessions were difficult. We faced painful truths and memories. Melissa admitted to her jealousy and the mistakes she had made. She said she felt left out and wanted what I had, but it didn't erase the hurt she caused. Through therapy, I learned to express my feelings and started to forgive, not for Melissa's sake but for my own peace. Meanwhile, Jake tried to contact me a few times. He apologized and said he regretted what happened, but I knew some wounds take time to heal. I focused on rebuilding my life. I traveled to New York, visited friends in Los Angeles, and even took a cooking class in San Francisco. Each step was a small victory over the pain. Months passed and slowly the anger inside me softened. I realized that life is about moving forward, even when the past hurts. One day I received a call from a lawyer. It turned out Melissa had made serious mistakes that could cost her professionally and legally. The evidence I had collected helped expose her actions in a way that forced her to face consequences. Seeing justice served gave me closure. I was no longer the broken woman at the chapel. I was stronger, wiser, and ready for whatever came next. This journey taught me that betrayal can come from those closest to us, but it doesn't have to define our future. After months of pain, therapy, and rebuilding my life, I finally felt I was finding myself again. But there was one last piece of the puzzle I needed to handle: the future and what I wanted from it. The betrayal of my sister Melissa and Jake had left scars, but it also gave me strength I never knew I had. The court case against Melissa had begun. With the evidence I had collected, the lawyer helped me file for damages for emotional distress and fraud. Melissa's lies had hurt many people, and now she had to face the consequences. Each hearing was difficult. Sitting in the courtroom, seeing Melissa's face as she tried to defend herself was both painful and satisfying. But justice wasn't just about punishment, it was about closure. My family, although shaken, slowly started healing too. My parents supported me throughout the process, and even Jake, after reflecting on his mistakes, chose to step away from our lives permanently. Through it all, I focused on myself. I moved into a new apartment in Chicago's vibrant Lincoln Park neighborhood, started new hobbies, and reconnected with old friends. I took a cooking class, joined a book club, and even started volunteering at a local charity. One evening while walking in the park, I realized how much I had grown. The pain that once consumed me had transformed into hope and determination. I wasn't the same person who had sat silently during that disastrous wedding day. I was stronger. Then one day I met someone new. His name was David, a kind man who shared my love for art and nature. We met at a gallery opening and there was an instant connection. David wasn't Jake. He wasn't perfect, but he was honest, caring, and treated me with respect. As our relationship grew, I learned to trust again. I learned that betrayal doesn't close the door to happiness. It just makes the path harder. Looking back, I'm grateful for the lessons life taught me. I learned to stand up for myself, to fight for what I deserve, and to never let anyone make me feel less than I am. If you're watching this and going through betrayal or heartbreak, know this: you are not alone. Your pain is real, but so is your strength. Take one day at a time. Surround yourself with people who love you. And never forget, your story isn't over. Thank you for watching. If you found this story powerful, please like, share, and subscribe for more true stories of courage and revenge. Your support means everything.